Losing a final like the Club World Cup is never easy. But when you're the goalkeeper, the weight of that loss is felt even more deeply. The constant pressure, the personal responsibility for every goal conceded, and the harsh scrutiny from the fans and media can be overwhelming. What happens after a crushing defeat like this? How does a professional goalkeeper, especially one from a club like PSG, bounce back? We want to hear your thoughts. What do you think is the hardest part of being a goalkeeper when your team suffers a major loss? Share your experiences and opinions in the comments below. Let's talk about the emotional side of being the last line of defense. Being a goalkeeper for a team like Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, comes with great responsibility. You're standing in front of some of the world's greatest players, like Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, and the pressure to keep the team undefeated or at least perform well in every competition is immense. However, this responsibility becomes even more intense when you're in the final of a major tournament like the Club World Cup, where all the expectations fall on you. And when your team loses so decisively, like a 3-0 defeat to Chelsea, the weight of being the goalkeeper becomes even harder to bear. A goalkeeper on an elite team like PSG is not just a defender of the goal, but also a central figure, often being the last line of defense before a possible disaster. During the Club World Cup final, every goal conceded weighs uniquely on the goalkeeper's shoulders. In the case of this 3-0 loss to Chelsea, it's not just about the frustration of losing the title, but also how the pressure is amplified by the fact that the goalkeeper is the one player who cannot afford to fail. Every goal conceded feels heavier when you know that at many points in the game, you could have done something differently to prevent the loss. The feeling of helplessness is inevitable when, as a goalkeeper, you fail to prevent the opponent from scoring. In a match like this, where emotions are high, the mistakes made are more noticeable, and the goalkeeper often carries the blame, even when the team wasn't effective in other areas. Losing 3-0 in the final is a clear reflection of this. The goalkeeper likely replays each moment in their mind, questioning what they could have done to prevent the goal, or perhaps where they could have positioned themselves better. Worriedly, additionally, the pressure to be the savior of the team never goes away. In a World Cup final where the competition is between two footballing powerhouses, every goalkeeper's decision is crucial, and mistakes like the ones made against Chelsea become a heavy emotional burden. The PSG goalkeeper must deal with public, internal, and external criticism while trying to maintain their morale for the upcoming matches, knowing that the loss has left a mark on their career. In the end, being a PSG goalkeeper in a Club World Cup final, especially with a decisive 3-0 loss, isn't just about losing a trophy. It's about handling the weight of responsibility, personal criticism, and the difficult task of rebuilding confidence after such a memorable and negative performance. Football is a team sport, but the goalkeeper position places a single player at the center of the storm when things go wrong. As the final whistle blows and the 3-0 scoreline is set in stone, the goalkeeper's role takes on a different, more painful dimension. The entire team feels the sting of the loss, but for the goalkeeper, it's personal. They know that every goal that went in, whether it was their fault or not, will be replayed over and over in the media, in training, and worse, in their own mind. The heavy burden of responsibility doesn't lift just because the game is over. In fact, it intensifies. The constant self-reflection begins almost immediately. What could I have done differently? Was my positioning off on that first goal? Could I have read that shot quicker? These are the thoughts that run through the goalkeeper's head after a loss like this. It's a cycle of questioning and self-doubt, and it doesn't go away easily. The goalkeeper knows they have to shake it off quickly, but the scars of a big defeat, especially in such an important match, linger longer than they would like to admit. Then there's the matter of dealing with the criticism. The fans, the media, and even teammates, they all have their opinions. The goalkeeper is often the first to face the brunt of blame, regardless of whether the defensive line let down the team or if the attack failed to score. It's part of the job, but that doesn't make it easier. Being a goalkeeper means you're judged by your mistakes, and in a high-profile loss like this one, those mistakes are magnified. Every slip-up, every moment of hesitation becomes a focal point. On top of that, there's the pressure of expectations that come with being part of a club like PSG. Every game, every tournament is seen as an opportunity to prove your worth. Winning the Club World Cup would have been a crowning achievement for the team, and as the goalkeeper, the one who has the final say in whether the opponent scores, the weight of that loss is felt more deeply. The sense of failure is almost overwhelming, and it makes the pressure of future games even harder to deal with. But for the goalkeeper, it's not just about the emotional aftermath. There's also the physical toll. The strain of the game, the reflexes, the dives, the constant anticipation, it takes a lot out of a goalkeeper. After a tough loss like this, the body feels sore in ways that don't immediately heal. The physical fatigue of chasing down every shot, the mental fatigue of replaying every moment, and the emotional fatigue of feeling like you've let your team down all accumulate into a weight that's difficult to shake. However, in the world of professional sports, there's no time for prolonged grieving. The next match is always around the corner. The PSG goalkeeper knows they have to get back up and perform at their highest level again, no matter how heavy the burden of the loss. But the truth is, losing such a significant game takes more than just physical recovery. It requires rebuilding confidence, erasing the doubts, and coming to terms with the fact that, as a goalkeeper, the stakes are always higher and the consequences more personal. The road to redemption is long, but it's the only path forward. As the PSG goalkeeper picks himself up from the devastating loss, the weight of the final continues to haunt him. The disappointment is palpable, and despite the motivation to bounce back, the feeling of failure lingers. The truth is, as a goalkeeper, the burden never fully goes away. Every goal conceded feels like a personal failure, especially in a game where the stakes are as high as the Club World Cup final. But in the face of adversity, professional athletes find resilience. The PSG goalkeeper knows the importance of quickly moving on, not just for his own sake, but for the team as well. Football is a team sport, but as a goalkeeper, the spotlight often falls solely on you during moments of failure. The internal battle of self-forgiveness begins. He must remind himself that no matter how hard he works, mistakes will happen. It's part of the job. But those mistakes are magnified when the world is watching, and the shame feels almost unbearable. The team, however, must move forward, and so must he. The reality of being a goalkeeper in a high-profile club like PSG means you're constantly under scrutiny, constantly expected to deliver. The pressure doesn't dissipate after one loss. In fact, it amplifies. With every upcoming game, the need to prove himself again grows stronger. His reputation and future performances are now questioned by the media, fans, and sometimes even the coach. The harsh reality of being the one in goal is that even if the entire team fails, the goalkeeper is often the one held responsible. Physical recovery comes first, of course. The bruises, the exhaustion, and the constant strain of keeping alert during every match weigh on the body. The goalkeeper knows that it's not just the muscles that need recovery, it's the mind. To be effective, to face the next challenge head-on, he needs to rebuild mentally, focus on the next match, and forget the defeat. But it's easier said than done. In the locker room, the atmosphere may be somber, but the goalkeeper knows that his teammates are counting on him to rise above it. The coach delivers the usual words of encouragement, and while they may help momentarily, the real recovery begins with the goalkeeper himself. Overcoming this setback is not just about forgetting the loss, but about learning from it and coming back stronger. The true test of a goalkeeper isn't how they perform in the moments of victory, but how they rise after the failures. The PSG goalkeeper knows this better than anyone. The game will continue, and so must he. The redemption arc is never easy, but with every match, every save, and every moment of concentration, he starts to regain his confidence. He understands that while the loss will always sting, it will not define him. It's his job to prove that he's still the goalkeeper PSG needs, no matter what happened in that final. The road to recovery is long, but it's the only one that leads to true greatness. In the end, being a goalkeeper for a world-class team like PSG isn't just about making saves and winning titles. It's about the resilience to rise again after a loss that feels personal. While the scars of a heavy defeat might never fully disappear, the true test of a goalkeeper lies in how they bounce back and prove their worth. The road to redemption is long and difficult, but it's the only path that leads to success in the high-stakes world of professional football. What's your take? Can a goalkeeper truly overcome the pressure, or does every mistake haunt them forever? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments.